Hey, Daryl. So I got to look through the Shamrock Bowl game, and I'll talk more with commentary as I go through the film. But it was a really good game to watch. Both teams were playing what I would, as an observer's point of view, say was quality football. Not a lot of mistakes. There's two things that I want to point out to you, and I'm sure you're aware of at least one of them. The touchdown that you gave up, and there was a couple of touchdowns, but one of the touchdowns that you gave up in the red zone was just a simple matter of guys not being lined up in the right place. Now, you played that three and you brought a lot of pressure, and I'll talk about that as we go through the film when I'm not in such a rush. But in one of those occasions, the B gap was left wide open, and you had two players out here in the C gap. The A gap was occupied, and all they really did was they ended up running a dive right into there, and you didn't have anybody in position because one of these two guys probably did the wrong thing. This stuff happens. It was really the only defensive alignment mistake that I saw through the game. So that was a really good performance by your defense. What I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about playing the pulling guard because the Rebels obviously had coached to take that away from you. And a couple of times they did, and a couple of times they didn't. This would probably be useful for you going forward this year as you express some concerns about teams pulling and trapping. So let's just do 5 minutes on taking a look how to defend pulling and trapping. So, if we're to draw up just a basic, what we call counter tray, which is where we get a guard pulling and trapping, and you have to have somebody leading up. Now, that lead up could actually be a wing over here, or the way you guys run it, which is what I do as well. This tackle pulls and leads up the hole. Okay, it's great against penetrating defenses, which is why it worked all year long for your team, despite, in my humble opinion, some technique and fundamental problems with the guard and the tackle. By the way, I know I've offered this constantly, and I'm going to continue to offer it. I have the quick solutions for these. And it worked for you guys all year long until this game in the Shamrock Bowl when you started facing some better coached defenses. Now, there's this old saying in football, winning conceals, losing reveals. And basically because that you were playing against better players, what you had been doing before didn't always work. That's not the point of this talk. Here's the point of this talk. How do you stop this play? Well, first of all, these players need to play in tandem with each other. First, this defensive tackle can't get washed down. If he gets washed down, it creates an inside lane. So if this guy is going to pull, this guy's probably blocking down. He can't get himself washed down. This guy is probably working his way up to a linebacker, or the way we like to do it, we double team so that we ensure we get that wash down. Now, this player, if he's charging upfield, the game's lost because we don't even need to kick him out. We can just turn right up. But if he steps across and realizes that he hasn't been touched, he needs to realize he's not a hero. And his reaction has to be to step down. Now, he can step down with his shoulder square, or he can wrong arm. That's a technique that you get to choose. But we need him coming down here and meeting that puller in the hole. Because what ends up happening is the man who's running the circle jams up the hole even more, and this running back ends up bouncing. That bounce is what you want. And this linebacker needs to be patient enough not to rush across field with the bait, but rather sit, see the play develop, and then be here to clean up. Now, we used to teach our linebackers that they had their gap responsibility, and off the snap of the ball, they take a step to that gap, but don't fully commit. They would step and they would read. Now, what we've gone away from, because we felt that that step put them in a bad position, we have these linebackers when they've got their gap responsibility and the ball is snapped, they do this hop, hop. Those two little bunny hops give them enough time to be able to read what's going on in their gap and then react appropriately. So I'll talk a little bit more on this as we go through the film. But if you're in a place where you're concerned about playing against pulling guards this year, it's really a triangle between these three defensive players. And it's a triangle that predicates itself on being patient and not over penetrating. Check out the film and I'll talk more through it with some examples. Hey Dara, so here's the film to go along with the whiteboard talk. I've got 13 plays from the game. Uh, they're not all in the correct order, the stuff to talk about, so let me just go through each one and talk about some things that I see. First off, I thought this was a really well played game. I thought your strategy worked really well. And if anything to take away as coaching lessons, I'm going to assume that with a D1 quarterback on the Rebels, that he called a lot of the offensive plays. And their offensive response to you packing the box was to throw the deep ball all the time. And they did get you on some, but of course they're going to get you on some. But I was really kind of surprised with the lack of short or intermediate passes. And I think this is what happens when you leave the foxes in charge of the hen house. Players want to throw deep all the time. And, when they're panicked, that's what they wanted. That's what they did. Anyway, let me go through the plays with you. All right, I'm not sure what happened on this play, but let me go through it and talk. Oh, this is the illegal one. We can move on because we've talked about this, right? This is terrible. Should have been tossed out of the game. It's dangerous and it's illegal. He violates 2 penalties there. Okay, so check this out. That hand to the side of the helmet, that hand signal is old American high school football. It means he wants this guy down here to run a fade. He doesn't throw him the fade, but he runs a fade. Usually hands on the hips means they want to run a hitch. Here's the fade. And again, you got foxes in charge of the hen house. They're going to want to throw these deep balls. Okay, again, forgive me for talking through these while they come up. Oh, yeah. I liked this one, Dara, because this is where your defense really reaps some dividends. And actually, they've got a shorter intermediate pass here. But watch this guard. He doesn't know who to block. He's completely confused. And because he's confused, he blocked nobody. So that's on you, coach. Good job. Even though they had the intermediary, they still threw the deep ball. Okay. So this is a little bit different. Your offense is going to run that counter tray, pulling the guard and tackle. And I want you to watch this defensive end. His technique is awful, but the thought is right. He's going to step across. He's not going to penetrate. He's going to see the pulling guard, and he's going to take your pulling guard out. That's illegal, by the way. If you're going to block below the waist, it has to be on initial contact between the tackle box. But he's doing the right thing. He's shoving the guard back. Problem is, that technique is useless if the defensive tackle gets down blocked and the linebacker gets blocked in. So this defensive end, although illegally, is doing the right thing. He's getting no help from the inside. And that results in a nice big hole. All right, now I do remember this one. This is the one where he left a gap open. And you got two guys outside of the tackle and nobody in the B gap. Yeah, probably just miscommunication, but it's at least the reason why they had that nice play. You can see it. Okay, now this one, I think they did a nice job playing your counter tray. Watch what happens. That's a good job staying square and taking on that guard. He doesn't run upfield, he jams the puller, but their defensive tackle is not getting blocked down, and the linebacker is patiently waiting in the hole. That's a good job by them. Your counter is a good play, but the way it's being run now, if the defense is well coached, they can stop your counter. I have a simple technique that your guard and tackle can use to ensure that even if that defensive end steps down, you're going to still be able to make that block. Let me know when you want to hear it. Okay, I think they get a big pass here. Yeah. So, Dara, that's a good play. It's a pretty decent pass. It's a great catch. It's a great run afterwards. And, you chose to put your corners on an island, and that was going to happen sooner or later. But I think you were correct. When the ledger sheet comes out, you prevented more big plays than you gave up because you pressured the quarterback and left your corners alone. Oh, I remember this. Division 1 player? Not in my America. Yeah, come on, son. Two hands on the ball when you're running outside. Ah, I'm not sure why I included this. I'm not even sure I was over penetrating, so take it for what it is. Okay, this one I like. Oh, no, it's not the one I really like, but this is good too. This is your 4th and 2. Dara, I'm pretty sure they're trying to set up a screen pass over here. And whoever this the lineman is, maybe he's caught up or maybe he actually sees it, but he does a really good job at taking away that screen. It's a huge play in the game. Huge play. Oh, watch this. The guard is missing the block on this kick out, and it's because of poor technique. Watch how wide he comes. Dara, he should be in here. His head should be in that hole. If he comes out wide like that, he allows that defensive end to squeeze, and they did a good job squeezing. They really countered your counter well, but I can fix this. It's not hard either. Now, please make sure you take this. You got a great play. Well, no, you don't have a great play. You got a good running back. You got a good touchdown, but it's not because it's good. This is not a well run play because your guard gets stuffed. You get lucky because this defensive end charges way upfield. And I'm not sure what happens to this linebacker. Let's watch him.
Oh, gosh, he tries to react to the inside. That's just bad play. Good block by your receiver. I think maybe there was a flag on that. But anyway, that guard's kick out technique needs to get improved. Yeah, and watch this. Here comes your counterplay again. We're not going to talk about the guard and tackle, but I think it's this away side guard. He's going to cut block here, and you can't cut block when you're part of the wall. Yep. You create a pile, and it's a pile that that guard and tackle have to now run around. Look at that. Look at how far out they've had to bump now. That's a pretty good runner, though. Really like his patience and his acceleration. This is the play I particularly like, Dara. And this is probably a credit to you as a coach and to these DBs. It's just a simple batted down ball. But as I watch this, I see really good defense. And let me explain why. Your DB gets turned around, but that's actually okay because he's still got enough of a bubble. What I like is that he doesn't close on the man until the man flashes his hands. And once those hands go up, that's when he breaks on the ball. Otherwise, you keep that receiver in front of you. We tell our kids that the hand flash is a green light. Once you get that green light, you go. It's a great play on the ball. It's a really good job. Boy, underrated, Dara. What an underrated play. This is any American college coach would be proud of this. It's a great job. If you coached it, Dara, really good job coaching. If that kid listened and is an athlete, tell him good on him for responding. Those are the kind of plays you need in big games when you're an underdog. It's a nice job. Okay, we're back to the beginning again. Again, there's not much that I would look at in this and suggest that you change, other than take the lessons that I think this Rebels team did in trying to throw the deep ball in every play, because I'm assuming that quarterback got to call a lot of the plays. And if he didn't get to call a lot of the plays, you know a D1 American is able to bend the offensive coordinator's ear. And the second thing I would say that if you're planning on preparing to take on pulling guards next year, take a look at what the Rebels did. There's at least one play here where they did a great job at stopping your counter tray. All right, let me know what game you want me to look at next.